last year, that could actually sort of make your job a little bit easier, I want to say, in terms of bringing in a fresh philosophy and kind of just selling your philosophy to these kids and making it a little easier for them to buy into whatever it is you want them to accomplish on the field?
I think so, and I hope so. I think so because it should, and I would hope that these players would embrace that. And from what I've seen so far, they have. So, I think, again, it comes down to them having understanding and knowledge of what you're trying to do. And I think what I've done defensively, for the past, 20 years or so, just different parts, we're going to put them in position to be successful. I think they have to, want to learn. And again, from what I've seen so far, they're very eager. So I think it could be helpful.
From what we had read, you were close to taking a head coaching position. You were in that process. What is that still? I guess how the driving force of that?
Well, with leaving my brother, Mike, it would have had to be a very good situation. With leaving Arizona, I think, the move that I wanted to make was a traditional power, to go on and be a defense coordinator of traditional power. With the situation in Arizona, it's very difficult. I think there's, I've had some opportunities to leave there and be a head coach, but I wanted to do more as a defensive coordinator, and want to coach at a traditional power, play for national championships, and compete for championships year in, year out. And so this is the move that I wanted to do. And I've looked at opportunities, each year from Arizona, whether it be a head coaching job at smaller schools or position jobs in the NFL or coordinating jobs at other schools. And this was a situation where, to me, it was an easy decision. It was hard leaving my brother because of how close I am to him and how close I am to that program, or was to that program. But when it came right down to it, this was an easy decision. It's something that I wanted to do and very excited about.
Did you start thinking about, like, when Coach Andrews announced his retirement, it kind of spread pretty quickly, obviously, when he was retiring. Did it occur to you then?
You know what? It did. And, you heard that Coach Bowden was retiring, Coach Andrews was retiring, and certainly it did. It started crossing my mind a little bit, and I was obviously busy with my preparations and my job, and I had a chance to visit with a few people, and we started talking about this situation, and so then the wheels started spinning a little bit more in my head, and started getting excited about that. And here we are. Yeah. So Coach Fisher and I, our paths crossed a few times way back in I want to say '96 or whatever. The first year I was at South Florida, and just recruiting in South Florida, had a chance to just cross paths with him a bit and visit with him at different schools, and just got to know him a little bit. And then he's been down south. I've been way down south in Miami, and then all over. I've been started in Tampa, went out to Wyoming, been in Houston, been a little bit all over. So hadn't exactly kept in great contact with Coach Fisher, but I knew who he was, he knew who I was. We had a chance to compete against each other when I was at Arizona. It wasn't a great outcome, that's for sure. It was a beat down we took, and knocked our quarterback out for the year, pretty much. But that was our first steps at Arizona. He knew, he saw the progression. I think he saw us compete. I think he watched the way we played defense. He knew we were coached right, put in the proper positions to be successful. Just didn't have the sharp enough arrows to compete with him when I was at Arizona and he was at LSU. And then, but he saw the progression, what we did over time at Arizona. And so, I think that helped in landing this position.
When you were coming up in football, what drew you to defense? Why were you a defensive player growing up?
That's a good question. Really, it goes back to probably my father, and it goes back to, the Pellinis even, we talk about this a lot, Bo and Carl are defensive guys, myself, Bob, Mike, my oldest brother, we're all defensive guys. I think it must have been in the water there in Youngstown, I don't know, or in the steel, so grew up in that part of the country. I think it has a lot to do with the environment that we grew up in. My father was a high school coach at a very traditional school there in Youngstown, a great school by the name of Cardinal Mooney. Great coaching in that area. Blue collar, steel mill town when we grew up, and just would, I don't know, started from an early age.
I think stereotypically offensive coaches have a different personality, the stereotype versus defensive coaches. But it seems like this offensive staff kind of has more of a defensive coach, Strickett and Jim Rowe. Can you talk about, have you seen that? Is that?
Well, I can see that in their personalities, and I think that it's going to be fun working with these guys. I'm sure things will get competitive at times in the spring here, because that's all we have to compete against each other, first year. But I think it's a great group of coaches. They've been doing a tremendous job offensively. It's going to be a real challenge. They're very multiple in what they do. So that's not going to make life very easy for us defensively at first, just because of how multiple they are. You see a little bit of everything, which, in the long run is what you want as a defensive coach. So we'll get a good look at most things offensively. So, but as far as their mentality, I always joke, I was teasing just sitting back and getting back to the original question of watching the recruiting unfold and just getting familiar with those guys from day one, and my head was spinning. Watch one guy, watch another guy, and then just go, the first meeting I walked into, like I said, I was half hour late just because of the way my plane arrived, and just off and running from there. But the one thing that I noticed, very early was that Coach Fisher got very excited about the defensive players. And, for supposed to be an offensive coach, I noticed that right away. That, probably number one, he knows we needed to improve a little bit there. And number two, he just, he's a head coach now. He's not just the offensive coordinator. He knows and understands the value of being good in all areas. And he was very excited watching the defensive guys.
You were pretty pleased when you saw that. Obviously, you guys came in late to that class. What you've seen of those guys, I know you recruited some of them previously.
Yeah, jumped in on a lot of them and got to know them over time, and yeah, very pleased, very excited about working with these guys coming in. Yeah.
Good, guys?